Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I'm Beau Oliver, joined today by Aaron, the Nerd Soup Monkey, and we are back to review Westworld Season 3, Episode 6, Decoherence. And before we start, we would like to thank our sponsor, NordPass. Right now, you can simply go to nordpass.com/nerdsoup and enter your email to get 1 month of NordPass Premium for free, or use code NERDSOUP10 to claim 10% off a 2-year plan. Brought to you by the cybersecurity experts at NordVPN, NordPass is designed to remember your complex passwords, and anyone with a smartphone can attest to the struggle of remembering passwords. Actually, I hope my mom signs up for this service so she can stop asking me for help when she forgets her passwords. With NordPass, all your passwords are in one place, allowing you to effortlessly import passwords from your browser or other services. With NordPass, you can store all of your passwords in one place while also organizing your logins and private notes in a secure password vault. Another convenient feature of NordPass is shopping online with ease. NordPass remembers your credit card details and will also recognize any suspicious websites you may be browsing, so you won't accidentally reveal your sensitive information. With their user-friendly desktop and mobile apps, NordPass allows you to manage your passwords while at home or on the go. And your personal data is encrypted before it ever reaches Nord's servers for backup and sync. So if you would like to remove the headache of remembering passwords, visit nordpass.com/nerdsoup. You can enter your email for 1 month of NordPass Premium for free, or use our code NERDSOUP10 to claim 10% off a 2-year plan. Now, you said on Twitter that this was probably your favorite episode of the season. Can you elaborate on that? It's your chance. We are reviewing it.
No, I'll just let the tweet speak for itself.
Okay, well, put the tweet up on the screen.
It's a lot easier to type a little
180 characters.
Couple of characters in a tweet than to actually expand on that when given the opportunity with a microphone on me. I get nervous. I clam up. No,
this is our third take, actually, so.
No, fourth if you count the first one.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
Fifth if you count the tweet.
There we go. No, but this episode was fantastic. It's what I love about Westworld sometimes is some of their best episodes is when they make you think and kind of stick with you for days after. But this episode showed they can do an action thriller just as good as they can do that. Because the last half of this episode, I was on the edge of my seat, and just some of the emotions watching this all unfold is something that you rarely see on television sometimes. And I thought this episode was one of the best of not the season, but the series in a different way than we're used to, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I have 2 points to make. Tessa Thompson has to be in John Wick 4, because when she goes full Terminator, just her face.
Yeah.
She was just angry. She was just pissed off, trying to avoid as much confrontation as possible, but will take you out if you got in her way. And when the giant mech helps her as well, I thought the mech looked good for TV.
Yeah, no, it did.
For CGI. Also, Rodrigo Santoro coming back as Hector, and Maeve refers to him as Ettore. Yeah. And we have a friend, Teddy, who appears on the show frequently, you would say. He claims that Ettore does not mean Hector, even though that's his real name. So I would like to thank Westworld for clarifying that for our friend group.
It's still weird.
Weird kid.
Yeah, strange.
But he's a Hector. Teddy's really a Hector.
Yep.
No, but there were a lot of great things in this episode, and we anticipated that William would have a more active role because of how they've kind of left him out in the earlier episodes. But this is why you save him. This is why you save Ed Harris, bringing back Jimmy Simpson for some really interesting scenes with all the different evolutions of William, all the different phases of his life. But it does begin in that therapy group, and William kind of goes misanthropic here. He was chiding Ford for his misanthropic bullshit in the last episode, or a couple episodes ago, but I don't know, he's kind of sounding like Ford here.
Called us maggots.
You know what it is? I agree, but I'm so tired of hearing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago, I would have all been on board, but yeah, it's like, yeah, I know that, but...
This episode was quite funny, too, in some aspects. When the guy goes, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" And he just smiles.
The woman starts crying.
Yeah.
Hey, they asked for it.
I know, but... yeah, his whole outlook, I don't know if it's changed or if this is something that he always felt. You see a lot in fiction where you see these people, these intellectually, I guess, advanced or superior people, they always look down on humanity. But he kind of has a unique perspective because we see in the episode his childhood. And in season 2, I think he's having a conversation with someone and they say, "I forget your humble beginnings." So he kind of knows what it's like to be an elite and a regular person.
Yeah, he has those experiences. And that was interesting. I think I mentioned this on one of the previews, that one of the main obstacles of therapy is getting an individual to embrace their truth, to confront it. And we see when William gets put in that room. Well, before that, too, he also kind of admits to what he did to his daughter. He's kind of reckoning with himself, coming to terms, saying that, I interpreted that line as, I don't belong in a mental hospital. I probably belong in a jail cell. I probably belong to be
a grave.
Right.
It's a pine box.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So with William coming to terms with that, and also the glasses that they would put on him, and he would kind of go back to his childhood. That's the truth that a lot of people don't want to confront. And I guess we can kind of skip ahead. He saw it as well, he kind of lied to himself, thinking that he was abused as a child, that his father was this aggressive drunk who would beat him. But then when we actually see what happened, it looked like William's been having kind of these violent tendencies since he was young, since he was a boy. And that's something that he kind of has to deal with. And it goes back to the whole idea of who put this path in front of me? Am I violent because I was beaten, or am I just inherently violent? Was this caused by nobody? It's just who I am.
Yeah, I love that scene when he sees the different versions of himself with James Delos as his kind of mediator.
Jacob Snell. I'm watching Ozark. So, no, that was really cool to see. And Jimmy Simpson as well. Jimmy Simpson, very underrated, I think, in season 1, out of all the acting performances, because it feels like a totally different version of that character. And he says to him, I was the best of you. And old William's like, maybe you were, maybe you weren't. I'm just going to beat the crap out of you. But it was an incredible scene.
Well, I said in the Man in Black video we released last week that there are these different perspectives of William depending on where he is.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw that in this little group therapy. We had the William on the outside, who is a titan of industry, philanthropist who helps save people's lives. And then there's William in the park, the Man in Black, who we know to be very brutal and just impulsive. And that's kind of the, I guess, aggression side. That's where that comes out. The park allows for that side of him to come out. And then there's the past, Jimmy Simpson as well, William, season 1, which probably is the best of him before he got entangled with Westworld and what it was able to do to him.
His father-in-law confronts him, James Delos, about locking him in a cage and trying to bring him immortality. And he says, hey, you wanted that. And then he claps back and says, you offered no objections. So it's once again, is William carving his own path, or is he kind of following a path that's been set for him?
I thought it was funny too, and I forget what he says, but James Delos responds, he's like, don't interrupt, it's not all about you.
Yeah. It was funny. Yeah, it was funny. But we'll get back to William in a little bit. What did you think about Sirach in this episode? We've pronounced it so many different ways, I think I'm going to go back to Sirach.
Sarik's easier to say.
Sarik's, yeah, I think I'll go with Sarik. What did you think about Sarik in this episode? Assassinating board members in broad daylight.
Yeah, we got a sense of his brutality when he killed...
More urgency here.
Yes. I remember you said that you didn't like his brutality. You kind of like him behind the scenes and just letting other people...
If this was his first moment where he killed someone, I would have liked it more, because it was just so fucked up. It was broad daylight. They put the guy in the fucking garbage can, and it was necessary because it was the only play that he had. And he says, hey, the chaos, it's going to get lost. And all the chaos. What's one more murder?
And we've talked about the idea of how the antagonist of the show kind of wants to help humanity, and Dolores wants to replace Host with humanity, but she's the person we were supposed to be rooting for. But it's moments like these when you kind of like, yeah, maybe Sarik wants to help humanity, but the way he does it and just his absolute sociopathic tendencies, when they're on full display, you realize, yeah, maybe neither of them are.
Yeah. Well, that's what kind of Dolores tries to convince Maeve of, that you're following the wrong person. You're following a man who wants to destroy all of your kind. And actually, it was I felt like it was a nod to your video. I think they probably included that line when she tells Maeve, you're not a villain, but you're not a saint either. Well, she says, you're not a saint, but you're not a villain either. I was like, oh, Aaron just made a video on that. But it's a good point where Maeve is kind of conflicted here, and I wonder, just jumping to the end of the episode when she brings up that other host that's not her. Who the fuck could that be? Did she just make like a new Teddy to fuck with Dolores? Like, hey, I'm back, and I'm riding with Maeve now.
I think there's 2, because they show the Connells Dolores, they show Maeve, they show Hector, and I think there's 2 more.
Yeah, there are 2, because initially he was making 4.
Yeah.
So for Hector, and we saw... One of the things I've always hated about Westworld is the reunions between Maeve and Hector. They're always so extra. The music comes in. How many times have they died and reunited? My love.
When they played
now he's finally fucking dead.
That Western... theme when they show him, I thought that was awesome.
They're great together.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a ride or die. Ride or die, ride or die, ride or die.
Yeah.
Now he's finally dead. But that was cool. And she's like, how many times have you died for Maeve? And then she looks at Lee Sizemore. For you, it only took the one.
But maybe this episode is great because we were speculating on how, like, when we saw the preview, it's like, why is she back in a simulation? And it makes sense for him to store her there while they are fixing her body.
Little training session.
Yeah.
Kicking the crap out of everyone.
Yeah, beat up some Nazis on your downtime.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting, too, how the simulation goes on even when Maeve wasn't there. Because Lee is living in there with the knowledge that he doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, it reminds me of Joy in Blade Runner. Is he alive? Is he conscious? I'm not going to think too deep into that. But Maeve's suffering a real loss here. Obviously, she was separated from her daughter, but she had the comfort that her daughter was able to escape to a better place, escape to freedom, where she wouldn't be subjugated. Hector just fucking died, got squished.
That was, I don't know gruesome. What it was, but I mean...
For it to melt?
When you see the inside of the pearl and it's just soft, like kind of like brain matter.
Yeah.
And you can just squeeze it.
It's a little brain.
It was brutal, though, how his eyes turned black and he just dropped. That was crazy. But going back to, I guess, how Sarah connects to this with the Connell's pearl, where he recovered it and put that in the simulation, I guess to help Maeve better understand Dolores or just try to gain some information from her. I guess it's there that he deduces that there are other Doloreses around.
Right.
And that there could be a mole inside Delos.
Yeah, and it's so funny that Charlotte Hale, that she is a human character who never showed any affection towards her family, so that's the tell. Oh, Charlotte Hale just made a call to her son? No way. She's the host. Knew it right away. Well, and that's what inspires her rampage to get out of there.
This Dolores character was fantastic this episode.
It may be the best character of the season for me.
Well, the two best episodes were very Dolores-centric.
Yeah.
So
and every time she looks at her wrist, and I'm just, gives me shivers. Jesus, she's going through it here.
Yeah, but that whole dynamic with her family, how she's gaining this connection, and we kind of talked about this earlier on when we found out about the Dolores reveal, and Connell's Dolores says within the simulation that we were all the same, but then the different paths led to changes.
Well, Charlotte says that as well, that she can feel herself slipping away from Dolores, and that would be bad news for Dolores, but she should have seen this coming.
We also talked about when we saw the reaction that Hale had of the video of the real Hale left for her son, and she had an emotional response. And, we were talking about how maybe at the end of this thing, maybe Hale drifts so far away from Dolores that she opposes her. Now, I don't know if they're going to give her like a Darth Vader suit or repair her, but the death of her family could lead her to go full Dolores.
She really did look like Anakin. The makeup was incredible there.
Oh,
I mean, they better win an award for that.
The after show, they showed how they did the explosion and with some of the makeup, how that kind of, with the stunt double and everything, it's really impressive work.
Yeah, that might be a new core drive for her. Right there, Dolores just got herself this new Dolores 2.0. Dolores just has a new core drive because she did come to care for that family. So this might put her back on track with Dolores. It might be that kick that she needed. Or she may blame Dolores, saying, hey, I could have fit right in. I had a nice, comfortable 7-figure salary at Delos, maybe higher. Yeah, some stocks.
They get lowballing her, too. And inflation,
Right, no, yeah, she might be a fucking billionaire.
Yeah.
And Dolores is like, no, we're going to build a completely new, cool world, trust me.
Stock options, 401k. Life was
hot
looking
husband,
good.
Michael Ealy.
Yeah. And she'd feel like, all right, here's your new family. She's probably like, oh, good looks.
Right, yeah.
Fucking blessed.
This is great. I love you. Somebody made a point, they tweeted us last night, that they've never kind of seen anything like the last 10 minutes of this episode. And it was, that was a good point to me. It was just weird, where all the characters were heading. Like you said, we've made this point so many times. We don't know what the end game is. We don't know what these individuals want. So it was it kind of felt like this limbo. With Charlotte Hale trying to escape. Where is she escaping to? Who knows? She gets fucking blown up. Then she's a Terminator, all charred. Her family, her fake family's destroyed. There's a lot of shit going on here, man. It all fits. It's all very coherent. I think that's why people are enjoying this season more than season 2.
It felt like it was like a really good action movie with some deeper themes. But a lot of the themes have been presented in earlier episodes, and it's just themes of the overall series. But they kind of stepped back from that. We got it a little bit with William and some of the emotions that Hale is feeling, but then it just turned straight action movie. And it was absolutely fantastic. I love when she was going full Terminator, because sometimes you forget because they are so human-like, and they try to ground them in some kind of humanity that, oh yeah, if shit hits the fan, they basically have an aimbot and can just pick apart people and take bullets and keep going.
An interesting actor appearance here. We have the guy from Breaking Bad that gets completely bitched out by Walt. Say my name, guy. That's what I'm going to refer to him as. So it was cool to see him pop up. And we go back to the therapy with William. Doctors sticking their finger in a patient's mouth when he's screaming hysterically. What do you think's going to happen? He's going to bite off your fucking finger. I
love like the futuristic take on, let's say, like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest type kind of psychiatric ward feeling. It's like, the technology's advanced and they probably have a deeper understanding than we do now or had in the past of the human mind, but they still resort to binding people, forcing medicines in the roof of their mouths, and kind of just doing these practices that you see what it does to William. It puts him in an emotional breakdown immediately.
I had to look away when they put the drip inside of the roof of his mouth and the little drills came out. That looked just painful.
Yeah.
Didn't like it at all. Don't like the dentist. Not a fan. And also what happens during his time here is that all these doctors and employees, they get the inside profiles and they start losing their fucking minds. We see the one doctor that was working with him pretty nicely hang herself because her husband took custody of the children, and that's the chaos that's been caused. And he gets left with those glasses on. So they said they either forgot about him or they wanted to torture him because they knew who he was. But no, he would have been just left there forever. Bernard and Stubbs didn't find him.
We kind of speculated on, was this the right choice? Should the Dolores have done this? And we see people jumping off of buildings, absolute anarchy going all around. And
right, because she presented it as, I'm freeing everybody, but we kind of knew what was really going to happen.
Yeah, so it's tough to say what the right answer is. I mean, I don't think it was, but was putting them on these loops and having all this information good? No. What do you do in that scenario? I don't think there's I guess you got to go all in or just let it continue to happen. And when William does kill all the versions of himself, I thought that's one way to do it. Either just say, hey, fuck it. Whatever happened in the past, I'm here now, so I got to deal with it. Or just, I'll make sure to suppress all these memories just by killing them.
Yeah, and he comes to the conclusion that he now has to be the good guy, so he's killing all his former selves. It seems a bit, I don't know if it's hypocritical, because some of his past selves, like he said, were decent people.
Well, when he talks to Teddy in season 1, I believe, when he says that on the outside, I'm the family man, I'm the good guy, Teddy, and he's kind of like, all right, maybe I can still redeem myself in some aspects and atone for my sins of basically indirectly killing my wife and directly killing my daughter.
Yeah, and I think it's more of, I'm going to embrace my violent tendencies.
Well, if there's ever a time to use them, might as well use them to save humanity.
Right, and I'm going to stop pretending. I'm not going to be the businessman. I'm not going to be the man in black. I'm not going to be the little kid who got lost in books, or even the young William who said, I'm obsessed with stories. That's what kept me going as a kid. I'm just going to be who the fuck I am in this moment and save the world.
Well, I kind of said that in the William video, that he's got to kind of combine all those perspectives to defend humanity.
He's got to become Super William.
Yeah.
Just take the best out of all of them.
And I got chills when Bernard came for some reason, when he heard his voice. And
yeah. And the questions, too. Do you even know who you are?
Well...
And I wonder if... Because he looks at him in season 1 and he doesn't seem to know who he is during Ford's speech. So I don't think he knows who Bernard is. I don't think he knows who Arnold is or what Arnold looked like. But you wonder if he's just going to straight up tell him. I don't know what that would add at this point, but that is a fucking big 3. Stubbs, Bernard, and William. What are the interactions going to be like between them? Especially Stubbs and William.
Yeah, well...
I'm sure there's going to be some conflicts.
The thing is, too, I don't know if they were expecting to find him there, because I think someone says, I think Bernard, is that who I think it is? So it leads me to believe maybe they were tracking what Dolores' tracker, because they yeah,
because Dolores does find the location. Right, yeah.
And they kind of found it that way because they seemed to be maybe a little surprised. Or maybe they did set out to find William in some aspects. But, you have a guy like William with connections in the outside world. He probably has a pretty decent-sized bank account. And his knowledge of the host and willingness to, I guess, oppose Dolores would be a valuable ally, especially if he's going to embrace that man in black aspect.
Now, where was Sirach when Charlotte pulls the gun on him? Was he just in another room in the Delos headquarters, or he was at a different headquarters entirely?
No,
that caught me for surprise. I thought she was about to blow this dude's brains out.
Well, I thought at first when everyone was choking and he was fine, I'm like, oh, yep, he's host.
Yeah,
or
same thing.
He's a projection.
He
was a projection, but we see that he was still there. I think he was just in a different room. It looks like he was in the one Hale was in episode 4 when she's talking to the guys to find the mole.
Right. Yeah, I thought she was going to blow his brains out and he was just going to have another host somewhere. It was he had control of multiple bodies. I think that would have been cool. But yeah, no, that was the look on his face. He's so smug.
Him getting bitched out in his projection and then having to react to it in his real form
never gets old.
It's so funny
because he maintains the smugness as the projection, but once it turns off, he's like, "Fuck, just shit."
Yeah.
Damn host, keep kicking my ass all over the world. But I guess we know why Dolores was heading to Westworld in the last episode on the plane with that giant bag of theirs, because they went back to Westworld and they want to delete all that data. And Charlotte Hale copied the data, so I guess she has copies of the host modules, the host pearls.
Just how to make it, I guess.
Do it your own. Animal Crossing.
It looks like they're all going to have this maybe final showdown within the parks, which I kind of like. They're going back to the parks here.
Bringing it back to Westworld. Because a shot from the preview trailer had Sirach pointing a gun at Caleb. So, yeah, they're both heading to the park. And you wonder how she's trying to salvage the hosts there, or is it just a honey trap? I don't know.
Well, I guess they have all the infrastructure to mass produce, because it seems like...
Right, yeah. You just need the data and the machinery.
The setup she has now isn't, you can pump out 1 or 2 every now and then, but I guess you can mass produce at the Mesa. They have the facilities for that.
And this goes back to season 2. There were so many season 2 theories that her master plan was to eliminate these rich people who had been visiting the parks and kind of put them back into society. I wonder if we're going to see some form of that, especially with the chaos. I mean, you could do it with regular people, but it seemed like Delos most of their records were on park guests, and somebody like a Caleb, they're not going to have record on a Caleb. But I guess with combined knowledge of Insight and Delos, if Dolores has control of just mass producing hosts, it can be devastating for Serac and what he wants to do.
Speaking of Caleb, too, it looks like next episode is going to dive a little bit deeper into him, and we see that he uses the Insight, I guess, the drips, whatever they call them. Looks like he had a bit of an addiction because there were very cuts of him just keep popping those things. And
yeah, I guess that's why he doesn't want to use it now. Well, there's so many goddamn theories going around about Caleb on Reddit. A lot of good ones, a lot of wacky ones, but those episodes like Akichita with Serac, those episodes where they explore the backstory of a character, they're always very strong episodes. And they've set up a lot of interesting questions with Caleb where they haven't really dragged it out. It kind of feels natural that this character is going through these flashbacks and having these memory problems.
Well, you know something big happened, devastating, something that can change him. We don't know what, but I find it interesting because I think his character still has a bigger role to play. I don't think he was cast. You don't cast Aaron Paul just to be kind of in the background. We get a little bit of insight on him, but I think there's still something more that
a little bit of
there's still something more there that we haven't found out yet. A lot of the times when we're confused and we're left out, it's because that we just don't know. We don't know yet. So they hold on to it and then they give it to you at the end, and then everything else starts to make sense.
It's not something that's kind of up for interpretation. It's not like we're battling on having those debates on what this could mean, what's the metaphor. They're withholding information, and they do it in a smart way, because even like earlier in the season, I was frustrated with who's inside of Charlotte, and the reveal was terrific. Also want to mention that Jonathan Tucker returns in this episode as Major Craddock. So that was a major moment for William in his life and in season 2 when he saves Lawrence and his family.
Oh yeah, and he kills a Confederado, and
in the moment you're thinking, is somebody fucking with him? Did they send this host here? But then hallucination. He's probably still tripping out. And also the flashbacks with his daughter at the campfire. I think that's the friendliest scene that we've seen between them. So a lot of his regrets, a lot of his defining moments in this episode, and he's such a despicable and messed up character. And I always say he's not necessarily simple, but he's not as complex as the others, which I love. In season 1, there was so much mystery surrounding this character. Why does he want to access the maze? What does he do in the real world? He's just a fucking nut. He's just out of his fucking mind. He's got a lot of fucking issues.
But I love the idea of him being able to finally play the game that he wanted Ford to have for him in the real world with real consequences.
Yeah.
To the highest extremes.
No, yeah. That's why it's such a great way to say, hey, how many times have we seen end of the world, somebody's got to come save it? We see it all the time in the movies, but the way they got to it in Westworld, and who knows if they'll ever get to that point where William's leading the charge, or I don't think there's going to be a giant human host battle, but the way that they've got to making this character the savior of the world, to me, I keep saying it, it's just brilliant. I have to root for this psycho.
Yeah, I love the idea of Maeve, Bernard, and William and Stubbs kind of building this coalition to oppose both Serac and Dolores.
Coalition of the willing, and then it gets shattered as soon as Dolores is dead. I'm so excited. What a season that's been so far.
Yeah, it's been different than we're used to, but sometimes different can be good. And 2 episodes left, I think.
Sometimes you get a Coke, but then they don't have Coke, so you get a Pepsi.
And you leave the restaurant and you go to the one next door.
You go to every restaurant until you find a goddamn Coke, right?
Yeah.
It's just better. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.